In the vibrant suburbs of Denver, where neatly trimmed lawns and high-end cars symbolize success, Daniel Mitchell was an embodiment of the American dream. A dedicated father of two, he thrived on providing for his family, spending long hours at his finance job while Vanessa, his wife, handled the home front. Their life at first glance was perfect. Sunday barbecues, family vacations, and baked cookies celebrating every school achievement defined their existence. Yet, beneath the facade of this idyllic life, shadows lurked. Over the past year, Daniel had noticed subtle changes in Vanessa's behavior. She stayed late at the gym. Her laughter danced with a tinge of something unrecognizable. The pangs of doubt began to gnaw at him, leading to sleepless nights and endless questions. It was a crisp autumn evening when friction escalated to the breaking point. The children were tucked in, and as he returned from work, he found a text on Vanessa's phone. A name echoed in his mind: Eric. He had known Eric since college, a former contender in Daniel's circle, now a rising star in real estate. Confused, Daniel wrestled with disbelief. Did his best friend really betray him? The following morning unfolded with a mixture of anxiety and determination. Daniel resolved to uncover the truth. It was during a superficial corporate gathering, filled with silver spoons brandishing empty smiles, that he caught wind of the sordid affair between his wife and Eric. The revelation came, not through whispered rumors or guilty admissions, but from a fleeting glance exchanged between them across the room. A conspiratorial spark that burned bright against the mundane backdrop of suits and polite laughter. Fueled by a torrent of emotions, rage, betrayal, and an overwhelming desire for vengeance, Daniel masterminded his plan. In the following weeks, he meticulously collected evidence, incriminating texts, pictures from late-night escapades, receipts marked by extravagant dinners and costly gifts that drained their shared finances. Vanessa's clandestine life was now laid bare. The climax of this unraveling came during a prestigious gathering at Eric's lavish penthouse. It was a perfect trap. Daniel arrived uninvited, his heart pounding, each beat echoing the impending confrontation. Once an oasis of camaraderie, the room felt suffocating with deceit. With a deep breath, Daniel confronted them both. "Vanessa, Eric," he announced coldly, capturing the attention of esteemed guests. "Care to explain what's going on?" The room fell silent, eyes darting between Daniel and the now visibly shaken couple. It was a primal scene, steeped in humiliation, as silence morphed into derision. Vanessa's face drained of color as realization dawned upon her. "Daniel, please, let's talk." She started, but Daniel cut her off, his voice steady and piercing. "No more lies." Turning to Eric, he continued, "You, of all people, should have known better. A man's loyalty is sacred." The razor-sharp words stung as guests shifted uneasily, lip service to a friendship now butchered before their eyes. He detailed the timeline of betrayal, presenting damning evidence. Whispered conversations turned into a roar of disbelief, as the illusion of their perfect lives shattered. As Daniel's voice crescendoed, he could taste the sharpness of victory. He watched Vanessa crumble under the public scrutiny, tears trickling down her cheeks, her mask of confidence shattered. In that moment, she was just another unfaithful woman stripped of her fables. The moment felt cathartic. The liberation from the weight of secrecy fortified Daniel's resolve. Days passed swiftly, each filled with a calculated resolve to dismantle Vanessa and Eric's lives. He approached his attorney, armed with the evidence. Divorce was not just a personal closure. It was a rallying cry for justice. His lawyer's eyes widened as Daniel reviewed his strategy, methodically laying out every financial discrepancy, every betrayal. "Let's hit them hard," he stated confidently, eyes glinting with a venomous resolve. With every document signed, Daniel felt the grip of their betrayal loosening, his power surging like an electric pulse. The girls remained blissfully unaware of the turning tide, their innocence a continued reminder of what was at stake. Daniel was relentless. Media reports filtered through, an unprofessional scandal dodged and weaved through social circles, stained permanently by the betrayal. Vanessa, a once revered figure in their community, quickly became an outcast. Friends turned their backs. Whispers of scandal tainted her name. It was not just financial devastation he sought, but a purging of the very essence of their shared life. He sought damages in court, demanding compensation for lost wages during the time spent unraveling the double life. Gifts she bought for Eric: silk ties, expensive watches, lavish dinners. Every penny was accounted for in the emotional ledger of their destruction. Courtrooms became battlegrounds, and through this storm of litigation, anger morphed into shrewdness. Every ruling was a victory. Every motion filed another nail in the coffin of their charade. Daniel learned the ropes of law the hard way, and soon, he was not just a husband taking back what was stolen. He was a formidable opponent battling against the very fabric of his former life. Yet, the zenith loomed. One final confrontation remained. The endgame approached swiftly. Daniel had one last chance to confront Vanessa, now stripped of her grandeur, left gasping for redemption. In their home, once a sanctuary, she approached him, her eyes hollow. "Please, Daniel," she pleaded, voice trembling with the weight of regret. "I never meant for this to happen." Inside, Daniel felt something shift. Instead of the satisfaction he expected, he felt a cold, heavy void. There was no joy in her pain. Only an unwavering resolve washed over him as he shook his head. "No, Vanessa. You made your choice and now you'll live with it." He leaned closer, voice low as he warned, "There's no coming back from this. I won't forgive, and I won't forget." It wasn't a cruel assertion, but a grim promise, as final as the closing of a chapter best left unfinished. The arrogance melted from her face, revealing the frail, desperate woman, clinging to memories of what was. Yet Daniel felt nothing, their history extinguished in the fire of betrayal. In that moment, as she crumbled to her knees, begging for a chance, Daniel took a step back, locking the door on the past forever. He emerged into the crisp morning air, leaving behind the ashes of what once was free, powerful, and unyielding. The weeks turned into months, but the fallout from that night remained fresh in Daniel's mind. Vanessa, now a mere shadow of the vibrant woman he once knew, scuttled around, desperately trying to piece her life back together. Meanwhile, Daniel reveled in his newfound power. Deception, in all its forms, had been met with a ferocity he never knew he could muster. The process was relentless, a storm that obliterated everything in its path. His children were his sanctuary. Having gained full custody, Daniel made it a priority to provide a nurturing environment free from the toxicity of their mother's choices. He turned their home into a safe haven, filled with laughter that rang into the night. Together, he and the girls built new memories, baking cookies, spontaneous road trips, and cozy movie nights. He reveled in the simplicity of their laughter, each giggle a reminder of what true connection felt like. Yet, even amidst the joys, the haunting reminders of betrayal lingered. Vanessa's empty promises echoed in his mind, each text and thrown tantrum echoing through the corridors of their past. She sporadically emerged, always spinning tales of regret, yet her attempts were devoid of the emotional sincerity that Daniel craved. Each time he encountered her, he felt the taste of betrayal wash over him anew, stronger than ever. As Daniel submerged himself in work, he realized it also transformed him profoundly. No longer the submissive husband, he became a commanding force within his field. His colleagues admired the ferocity he brought to meetings, his once passive demeanor, now replaced with a commanding presence. He spoke not just with authority, but also with an unrelenting sense of justice, illuminating the underbelly of corporate greed that often went unchecked in their high-stakes world. But for every win, anguish lingered. Word spread through the community about Vanessa's missteps with Eric, and whispers followed her like a dark cloud. Friends she once entertained turned away, disgusted that she could transform their adoration into scorn. Her emotional spiral deepened, but Daniel felt no remorse. Only satisfaction mingled with relief surged through him as each snicker and hushed tone mocked her downfall. It was a chance meeting at a local coffee shop that reignited the flames of confrontation. Daniel, nursing a steaming cup and engrossed in paperwork, looked up to find Vanessa entering, her eyes bleary from the toll of betrayal. Clad in clothes that were once trendy, but now appeared worn and out of style, she represented everything Daniel had fought against. Even from afar, he noticed how others shifted their gazes when she approached. Like blood and water, the atmosphere thickened with disdain. "Daniel," she began, her voice wavering as she approached. The once sharp confidence had dulled to desperation, and he could detect the layers of despair in her tone. "Can we talk?" He had to stifle a laugh, bitterness dancing on the back of his throat. What could possibly be left to talk about, Vanessa? You've said it all, haven't you? You made your choices, you've faced your consequences. With hands trembling slightly, she took a seat opposite him. "I know I messed up, and I don't expect forgiveness. I just want a chance to explain," she pleaded. Yet the desperation hung in the air like a black cloud, suffocating. Explain. The word was almost a hiss. It felt foreign as it escaped his lips. What's to explain exactly? That you've become a public joke? An example of ruin? That everything you touch turns to ash? The tension was palpable, and he leaned closer, eyes narrowing. You chose Eric over our family. You let your desire blind you to the realities of your life. I thought I was happy, she started, only to be cut off by a condescending scoff. Happy? Is that what you call it? You destroyed your children's family for a fleeting thrill? Daniel's voice rose, an eruption of pent-up indignation. Do you realize the shame you brought upon them? Upon me? The world around them faded as every word morphed into a dagger. Daniel felt the weight of this confrontation gripping him with pure exhilaration. Each moment looped back to that initial betrayal. His heart hammered in his chest like a caged animal. Vanessa's eyes welled with tears, shimmering with reflections of regret. I didn't think it would end this way, she whispered, breaking down. I just wanted to feel alive again. Alive? You've not merely felt alive. You've acted selfishly. You've devastated lives, torn apart the very fabric of our family, and now you wish for sympathy? His tone transformed into an icy edge, one that drew blood and froze time. And now you want to reclaim something that was never yours to begin with. This isn't about me or your life. This is about the harm you've caused. And we both know the consequences have caught up to you, Daniel stated, a twisted satisfaction creeping into his voice. In those moments, he saw her transformation exposed, the cruelty of her actions revealed, and he became an unwitting judge in this trial of their lives. Daniel, please, she wept. But he could only smirk, shaking his head slowly. It's too late for please and sorry, Vanessa. And he meant it. In that cafe, surrounded by indifferent customers, Daniel realized that the vestiges of their past had crumbled into irrelevance. He wasn't merely winning battles over their shared life, he was redefining every aspect of his very existence. He was the victor in a war where values were stakes, where morality had become a fierce battleground. As the confrontation concluded and he prepared to leave, he turned back to her, aware of the gaze from others in the cafe. You've lost everyone who once admired you. You've become a cautionary tale, and the world will not forget, he said, nor will they forgive. Stepping out into the crisp air, Daniel deeply inhaled. The sensation was electric. The battle was over, but the war had only just begun. There were challenges ahead, rebuilding his life, nurturing his children, and empowering himself to persevere through the bitterness. But every sunrise promised a new beginning, a fresh chapter devoid of the poison she had injected into their lives. He was victorious not because he destroyed a monster, but because he reclaimed his narrative. He was not just a survivor. He was thriving in a landscape where betrayal once flourished. The bitterness that once resided in his heart had transformed. Now, a powerful drive that propelled him into the future. Daniel knew that some wounds wouldn't heal, and forgiveness was an illusion for the misled. With every step he took away from their past, he fortified the resolve that molded him. He would remain unyielding, relentless in the pursuit of rebuilding a life recognized for dignity, establishing boundaries long forgotten in the ruins of betrayal. He had emerged from the wreckage, not just alive but emboldened, ready to rewrite the story of happily ever after on his own terms, forging ahead with the toxic remnants of their past buried beneath the weight of his triumph. As Daniel settled back into his newly structured life, marked by mornings filled with laughter from his daughters and evenings of reflection, the sense of empowerment grew. The bitterness left in the wake of Vanessa's betrayal transformed into focus. Every morning began with meditation, grounding him, centering him for the day ahead. The morning sun filtered through the kitchen windows, illuminating the newly invigorated space filled with memories that he was actively crafting. His career flourished, reflecting the personal transformation occurring within. Daniel channeled his pain into a drive to excel. He threw himself into work with an intensity that turned heads. Clients noted his meticulous nature, his uncanny ability to foresee market fluctuations, his unyielding determination to succeed. Each new deal was not just a financial triumph. It symbolized the reclamation of his power. The work became a sanctuary, where success blurred into vindication. But the emotional tumult was never far behind. Every triumphant deal echoed like a reminder of what he had lost. Late nights at his upscale office often found him gazing out onto the twinkling cityscape, grappling with the memories. Vanessa's laughter haunted those quiet moments. Anger morphed into a bittersweet longing. Every echo of her essence was tinged with betrayal. The memories of their past were interspersed with moments of warmth, juxtaposed against the harsh reality of her choices. Weeks slipped effortlessly into months. He aimed to finally confront the remnants of their past in a more structured manner. Daniel initiated therapy sessions, a tool long dismissed in his previous life. It became a place to vent frustrations, a sanctuary for growth, where he could process the depth of his grief, anger, and eventual release into acceptance. Each session peeled back layers of emotional scars, revealing raw truths he had buried deep. Only after a few intense sessions did he dare to candidly reflect upon the fear that had initially propelled him towards vengeance. The therapist's words rang clear. Your anger was not only justified, it was a pivotal stepping stone toward reclaiming yourself. Those words whispered affirmation deep into his subconscious. In the months that followed, the girls blossomed under Daniel's attentive care. Their evenings were filled with arts and crafts, spirit-lifting family movies, and heartfelt discussions about their days. He valued conversations with them, encouraging their dreams and creativity, sculpting the mothers and fathers they would choose to become. Daniel reveled in their youthfulness, their innocence, striving to be the father they deserved amidst the wreckage of their family life. Occasionally, for all the progress he made, memories of Vanessa crashed into his world. He found himself at a local supermarket, heart racing as he turned a corner and was confronted face to face with her. The unrecognizable woman before him stood frail and haggard. Her skin appeared paler, her shoulders stooped lower, perhaps weighed down by judgment or regrets that seemed to follow her like a shadow. "Daniel," she whispered, a ghost of the confidence she once flaunted. Ignoring the notion of pleasantries, he asked coldly, "What do you want, Vanessa?" The chill in his voice snapped like electric current in the air around them. "I was hoping to see how the girls are doing," she replied, her words leaking with uncertainty and need. He could see guilt in her eyes, the tremor in her hands nearly palpable. "Why now?" he shot back, arms crossed. Why waited until now when you can't bear the weight of isolation any longer? I... Vanessa stuttered, realizing she was stripped bare before him, transparent in her motives, reflecting everything she had lost. You relinquished your rights to being their mother the minute you decided to pursue happiness at the expense of our family. I've told you before, you have no place in their lives anymore. For a moment, silence enveloped them, the loud chatter and sounds of the supermarket fading into obscurity. The weight of his words pressed heavily on both of their chests. Daniel's heart raced. He felt powerful, yet conflicted. But deep down, he recognized this was a pivotal junction. "Please," she begged, her voice cracking. "I've changed. I want to be a part of their lives as a better person." Better? How? By repeating the same pattern? By thinking that your appearance will rekindle a bond severed by your own hands? No, Vanessa. His voice maintained a cold steeliness that seemed to crystallize his boundaries. Around them, shoppers moved obliviously, but Daniel felt the dam of anger surge inside him. Being a good parent is built on trust and love. You've shattered that trust. You forfeited your role when you made choices that destroyed our family unit. Tears streamed down her cheeks as anger flared in his heart. I won't allow you to manipulate this situation into guilt. I will protect my daughters, and you can only blame yourself for the boundaries I've set. Daniel, I can't live like this, she pleaded, desperation lacing her tone. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. He held her gaze steady, refusing to yield. You have to live with that. You made your choices. Don't expect me to fix the mess you've created. Realizing there would be no reconciliation, he turned sharply without looking back. Daniel had built a wall that would not crumble. As he left the supermarket, his thoughts spiraled into fresh clarity. Moments like this only solidified his resolve and the lessons learned. Healing was a crossroads. The choice of whether to break through or remain stagnant in the past, and today had reassured him. He would only walk forward. The retaliation that had once seemed appropriate had transformed into boundaries born of strength. The emotional scars healed slowly, but with every day, he caught glimpses of the man he was becoming. The process of reclaiming his life was more than vengeance. It was about redefining his identity and establishing a foundation to stand firmly on. Daniel was not just a survivor. He was a rebuilder, a creator of his future, a beacon of hope for his daughter's shining years ahead. And as the sun set on that tumultuous day, he felt the warmth of his decision embrace him, enveloping him in comfort as new possibilities began to unfold. Daniel's journey of recovery established a rhythm that began to feel like a formidable symphony rather than chaotic noise. The years flew by, and as the seasons changed, so did his family dynamic. Each passing day brought the girls, Emily and Sarah, closer to their father, deepening the bond that had once been shaken. Daniel channeled his love for his daughters into nurturing their dreams and ambitions. He took them to the library every Saturday, diving into rich tales that expanded their imaginations. The sound of their laughter echoed through the aisles, providing him with a profound sense of joy. They had become the center of his universe, and their smiles were a testament to the love he had injected into their lives after the decay of his marriage. However, even amidst this growth, the scars of betrayal lingered, more like frayed edges of fabric than open wounds. A year after the supermarket encounter, he received word that Vanessa had attempted to reach out again. A mutual friend conveyed that she claimed to have gone through therapy, working tirelessly to change her ways. The mention of her supposedly improved efforts ignited a flicker of discomfort in Daniel's stomach. "Dad, can we go to the new ice cream place after?" Emily asked one afternoon as they wrapped up another trip to the library, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. He admired the way her hair caught the light, how every small part of her reflected the mix of him and Vanessa. "Of course we can," Daniel replied, ruffling her hair, appreciating how happiness didn't just mean seeking joy, but actively creating it. As they drove to the ice cream shop, Daniel's thoughts wandered back to Vanessa. Would she really change? Part of him recognized that people could evolve, could confront their past mistakes with authenticity. But another side challenged that belief fiercely. Who was he to risk the stability he'd painstakingly cultivated for his children? At the shop, they ordered their favorite flavors, the girls giggling and sharing whispers between bites. Daniel leaned back, observing them, allowing the tenderness of the moment to saturate his heart. Just then, his phone buzzed with a message from that same mutual friend, bringing news that Vanessa was backing away from the idea of reaching out, realizing perhaps it was better to let the past remain untouched. It struck him that the emotional hold she held on him was dwindling. The grip of their shared history was loosening, allowing Daniel to breathe a bit easier. He continued to engage deeply with his daughters, investing wholly into their future without hesitation. They were no longer just remnants of his past. They represented a vibrant future that he was excited to shape. Months melted into each other, and a routine flourished. The girls thrived in school, blossoming into determined individuals driven by a mixture of charisma and resilience. Daniel was constantly amazed by their determination, their spirit embodying qualities that he strived to emulate. He recalled his relationship with Vanessa, wishing he had the presence of mind to foster those qualities early on. As the school year approached its end, a letter from the principal arrived. Emily and Sarah both had excelled academically, earning invitations to the annual STEM fair that celebrated young innovators. Excitement swelled in their home. They dove into brainstorming sessions that turned into late-night discussions filled with creativity. The notion of encouraging exploration invigorated Daniel's own desire to learn through their eyes. The day of the STEM fair arrived with a burst of energy that surged through the school hallways. Daniel looked on, pride swelling in his chest as he watched his daughters present their project, a miniature wind turbine built from recyclable materials. They explained the science behind renewable energy with a confidence that resonated in their voices. Amidst the accolades and cheers, Daniel couldn't shake the inexplicable feeling that Vanessa was somehow part of this moment. A part of him craved acknowledgement from her. Despite the pain she caused, the reality remained that she was their mother. Just as he steeled himself against the distant, intrusive thought, his phone vibrated again. A new message. Unsure, he glanced down and saw Vanessa's name flash across the screen. His heart raced momentarily before the anger began to simmer. He didn't need any more distractions. He had built a life and didn't want complications. But curiosity prodded at him, and he hesitated, then opened the message. Daniel, I know it's been some time. I've worked a lot on myself. I would love to see the girls. I understand if you still want to keep me away, but I hope to prove that I'm a different person now. His anger surfaced, punctuated by a deep sense of betrayal. Part of him wanted to shove the phone into his pocket, to erase that impulsive need for resolution that seemed to nag at him like a worn-out record. But then, another part reminded him of the journey toward healing. Was he to live forever in the constraints of the past? Gripping the phone tighter, he typed out a response, choosing his words carefully. The girls have blossomed so beautifully, but it is important they preserve this routine. Rebuilding trust takes time. I'm not ready for them to face you yet. He hit send, the weight of the decision heavy on his heart. Silence descended over him, a mix of determination and uncertainty swirling within. Over the next few days, he chose to push away the anxiety of that encounter and focused on the joy emanating from his daughters. About a week later, when he returned home from work, he found both girls huddled intently over a large canvas. They painted vibrantly colored swirls, reflecting their unbridled creativity. Daniel felt a wave of warmth. They were safe. They were whole. And watching them inspired him to cultivate a life defined by love, rather than a past laden with bitterness. Later that week, the inevitable occurred. A letter arrived. This time, it wasn't from Vanessa, but rather from the school, announcing an annual Family Day event, inviting parents to share their achievements with their kids. Daniel's heart raced as he imagined the rift of past betrayals and concessions becoming public. "Daddy," Emily said with hopeful eyes, "will you come to family day? We can show off our project." "Absolutely," he smiled, masking the brewing tension within. That weekend crystallized into a mix of excitement and apprehension as Daniel prepared himself for an encounter with the ghosts of his past in the form of Vanessa. He hoped that any confrontation brewing would be breezy, that their paths could cross without his emotions igniting into flames immediately. Counseling had taught him resilience. He was determined to embrace this new chapter without falling into familiar traps. On family day, as he entered the school, he felt a mixture of pride and dread swirling inside him. His daughters drew laughter and praise while they animatedly explained their creation. Daniel stood strong, supportively beaming at them as they captivated onlookers. And then, as though the universe conspired for a moment of disarray, he caught sight of her at the edge of the gathering. Vanessa, dressed in understated simplicity, her hair slightly longer but still disheveled, hovered hesitantly near a cluster of parents, a tense air surrounding her presence. The world turned blurry as Daniel caught himself in a whirlwind of emotions. Wrath against the betrayal, regret for the love lost, concern for his daughters. Instinctively, he moved closer to the girls, shielding them from the potential storm that had lain dormant for so long. They continued unwavering in their excitement, unaware of the turmoil just within reach. As Vanessa approached, their eyes met, and he felt paralyzed momentarily. Unsure yet aware of his elevated heartbeat and the need to assert his boundaries, he stood tall. There would be no retreat this time. He would not cower in front of the ghosts of their shared past. "Daniel," Vanessa began, her voice faltering, "I just wanted to congratulate the girls. Their project is fantastic." His instincts flared. The instinct to protect his daughters surged upward. "Thank you, but this is not the time," he answered firmly. "They've come so far without you, and I'd like to maintain that distance." It felt somewhat liberating to lay down the law clearly and without compromise. The words hung heavily among them. His daughters continued ignoring the tension, fully immersed in explaining their project to admiring attendees. "Please, just one opportunity," Vanessa whispered, her eyes shimmering with a blend of desperation and wistfulness. "I want a chance to be part of their lives." "No," Daniel replied, a finality reflected in his tone. "You made your choice. Let them grow without the weight of your past." As he slowly walked away, the powerful emotions surged and festered within him. The confrontation catalyzed feelings of empowerment, but also a gnawing shadow of sadness. He wouldn't shield his daughters from the world, and would ensure they met it with their heads held high, arms wide to embrace the possibilities ahead. From that day forward, Daniel reaffirmed his commitment to establishing a stable life for his family. He embraced his new role, not merely as a father who had survived trials, but as the intended architect of a brighter future. Every morning, he would wake up invigorated, emboldened, embracing the notion that while past choices cannot be undone, they would never dictate the course of his life going forward. Through this journey of pain, rediscovery, and resilience, Daniel reframed the narrative that once sought to keep him bound in shackles. He transformed grief into a vision of emergence, standing tall, ready to face the new challenges that lay ahead of him. As the months rolled on, Daniel's life evolved into a well-honed routine, colorfully infused with the laughter of Emily and Sarah. The aftermath of that tense confrontation at the Family Day event solidified within him the urgency with which he wanted to shield his daughters from any destructive influence. He had become more than just a father. He was a fortress, a safe haven built to nurture trust, stability, and resilience. His career flourished, reflecting the ongoing transformations in his personal life. Each new financial deal stemmed from the determined mindset that had taken root during the tumultuous wake of Vanessa's betrayal. At work, Daniel increasingly became a mentor, guiding younger employees and empowering them to develop their skills. He found immense gratification in seeing their accomplishments, and nurtured in an environment built on transparency and integrity, ensuring that the mistakes of his past would act as lessons to guide not just him, but also others. However, as his life progressed, the echoes of his past still occasionally reverberated within the confines of his mind. In the quiet moments of the night, when everything was still and calm, flashes of memories would flicker through, tender moments shared with Vanessa, the excitement of family vacations, the comfort of companionship, all tinged with a sorrowful shade of betrayal. Awareness blossomed. He realized that closure would never arrive solely from distancing himself from Vanessa, but rather through acceptance. The journey evolved into one of forgiveness, not for her sake, but for his own emotional liberation. This enlightenment proved enlightening, giving Daniel perspective as he navigated his way through each passing day. Spring turned into summer, and with the changing of the seasons came a renewed sense of hope. Daniel eagerly planned a family vacation to the Rocky Mountains, a chance to bond, explore, and indulge in the liberating embrace of nature. He hoped the experience would fortify their family ties further, providing an avenue for adventure while leaving behind the chaos of urban life. On the day of their departure, excitement crackled in the air as Emily and Sarah hopped around the house, buzzing with energy. They packed their backpacks with snacks, drawing up a list of activities they wanted to undertake. Daniel had floated the idea of hiking, fishing, and simply soaking in the beauty of the wilderness, and they relished the thrill of the unknown. During the drive, they played games, sang along to their favorite songs, and shared stories, building up the atmosphere of camaraderie. Daniel found great satisfaction in witnessing their exuberance. Their laughter disrupted the banal hum of the highway. Yet, as the scenic mountains began to loom into view, a sense of tranquility washed over him, shrouding him in warmth. Upon arrival, the family settled into a cozy cabin nestled between towering pines and breathtaking mountain ranges. They unloaded the car, shuffling around in a whirlwind of enthusiasm. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they gathered around a fire pit, the crackling flames casting warmth across their faces. Daniel watched the girls roast marshmallows, their laughter bright against the backdrop of the starlit sky. It felt right, simple, yet profoundly fulfilling. The days unfolded with a beautiful rhythm. Each sunrise birthed new adventures. Hiking trails led them to undiscovered paths, where they marveled at cascading waterfalls and magnificent vistas. Emily and Sarah flourished amidst nature, soaking up the splendor and embracing the untamed wilderness. Daniel encouraged them to explore, witness, and create memories that would last a lifetime. During one transformative hike, while perched atop a high viewpoint, they took a moment to absorb the beauty of the world sprawled before them. The sun cast a warm hue over the rugged landscape, and Daniel felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Here, high above the worries of the past, seemed distant, overshadowed by this present moment, where joy radiated and love enveloped the trio. "Dad, this is the best day ever," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining with unabashed delight. "I want to live here forever," Emily added, her arms wide open, embracing the vast expanse stretching below them. Their excitement spread like wildfire, igniting a spark within Daniel's heart. As he watched their innocent exuberance, he understood that this childhood was not just an escape. It was about creating a reality where they felt loved, secure, and free to explore their identities. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of gold and orange as they made their descent, arms intertwined, laughter cascading down the trail. Daniel couldn't help but smile, feeling profoundly connected to his daughters. He genuinely contemplated that they would define their futures, each step towards their aspirations fortified by the foundation he was laying now. Yet, as idyllic as the veneer appeared, the contemplation of Vanessa loomed in the recesses of his mind. The girl he once loved, and who had once held the same dreams for their family, had completely dissolved into this emotional specter. Could she really change? Was she really trying to reclaim a relationship with their daughters? His instinct to protect reigned supreme, overshadowing any lingering emotions of affection. That night, as they nestled into their cabin, Daniel's thoughts continued to circle around Vanessa. Every now and then, he considered how her path had wandered off, leading them to where they were now, standing at a precipice of a new life. Would she really confront her past? Or was this merely an excuse to avoid facing the consequences of her actions? As he drifted off to sleep, he vowed not to let those doubts cloud this newfound happiness. The choices he made for himself would be predicated on the recognition that healing was an active journey. A theft of peaceful dreams interrupted Daniel late one night, a combination of rustling and unfamiliar sounds infiltrating their cabin. Shooting upright, he could hear the anxious breaths of his daughters beside him. Approaching the window cautiously, he looked out into the cabin's clearing, breath held with anticipation. Illuminated by moonlight, there stood Vanessa, a ghost of their past. She had returned, not out of the blue, but a reality that sent a shiver down his spine. Every emotion surged back. He felt anger, betrayal, and a fierce protectiveness over the most precious parts of his life. She stood there, her figure twisted in the shadows, as if grappling with her choices. "Daniel!" she called softly, her voice trembling yet hopeful. He wrestled with disbelief, trying to gauge the correct reaction. The thought of igniting a confrontation, allowing emotions to name themselves, layered heavily on his heart. "Stay where you are, Vanessa," he replied firmly, stepping outside, providing the boundary they both were now navigating. With the cool mountain air wrapping around them, he felt a surge of protectiveness. He knew they were no longer merely two people who once shared a life together. They had become strangers, navigating a world where trust had collapsed. "Please, just let me talk," she begged, her eyes soft yet filled with desperation, seeking to breach the chasm she had created. Beneath the surface, emotions threatened to erupt. "What do you want, Vanessa?" he asked, his voice low and steady, weighing the gravity of the situation. "It's about the girls," she reluctantly admitted, stepping closer as she seemed to take a breath before continuing. "I know I hurt all of you. Every day since you last saw me, I've been trying to find my way back, to become someone worthy to be their mother again." Daniel felt every muscle tense. "You think you can just show up after everything you've done and expect them to embrace you? You've shattered their lives, yet you believe claiming to have changed is enough?" "I'll do whatever it takes," Vanessa insisted, the tears glistening in her eyes. "I promise. Just give me a chance to prove myself." "I've been working on myself, Daniel. I barely recognize the person I used to be." "But can you recognize them? Can you face the consequences that await?" "You don't know what it feels like to be a stranger in your own home." His voice assured her that walls had been constructed over time, fortified through accomplishments and resilience. Each minute stretched painfully thin between them. The weight of the past loomed. Each heartbeat echoed their shared history, mixing with the possibility of acceptance and reconciliation. He needed to ensure this didn't crumble their rebuilt sanctity. "I won't let you harm our daughters again," he asserted, unwavering. "Just let them choose," she pleaded. "That's all I ask. Just let me talk to them." Daniel hesitated. For a fleeting moment, memories intermingled with emotions tangled at the back of his mind. Could she really have the ability to change? Would he be depriving Emily and Sarah of understanding through their own choices? "Fine," he finally replied, reluctantly, the burden of what it signified resting heavy on his shoulders. "You can see them tomorrow, only to explain yourself. If they want a relationship with you after that, it's their decision. But make no mistake, if you hurt them again, there will be no second chances." Vanessa nodded, hope illuminating her face, a flicker of light igniting amidst the darkness that had enveloped their past. As they made arrangements for the next day, Daniel's stomach churned with anxiety. This was uncharted territory, a risk he had never anticipated. He returned inside, feeling the weight of the decision wrap around him. Would he really be allowing the door to open, or would he just be letting the ghost of a broken past haunt the shores of their newfound peace? Resolved, he decided that whatever happened, he would be there, both a father and a guard. As sleep washed over him, he vowed to maintain vigilance. Healing was nuanced, but his daughters deserved the chance to make their own choices, unclouded by the shadows of the past. Tomorrow would be pivotal, a test of whether the foundations he had built were sturdy enough to withstand the storm brewing. He had risen from the ashes before. Today, he would do it again, not just for himself, but for his daughter's sake. The morning sun broke through the edges of the mountains as Daniel prepared for the day ahead. The cabin was quiet, filled with an anticipation that felt both exhilarating and suffocating. He moved through a familiar routine, brewing coffee, fixing breakfast, trying to dispel the anxiety that knotted his stomach. As he flipped pancakes, the delicious aroma wafted through the air, heightening the sense of a normal family morning. Emily and Sarah ambled into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from their eyes, oblivious to the brewing tension that hung heavily over Daniel. He greeted them with a smile, carefully masking his unease. They excitedly recounted their dreams, each child's imagination bursting with vivid colors, and for a moment, Daniel reveled in the serenity of their youthful exuberance. "Want some more chocolate chips in those pancakes?" he asked, playfully flipping them in the skillet when both girls nodded enthusiastically. As they enjoyed breakfast, he tried to focus on the moment, pushing aside the conversation that lay ahead. But deep inside, anticipation gnawed at him, unsettling his concentration. He positioned himself mentally, fortifying his resolve to protect his daughters fiercely while allowing them the chance to make their own choices regarding their mother. After breakfast, Daniel linked arms with the girls as they headed out into the crisp mountain air. "So, are you excited for what's coming later?" he asked, attempting to steer the conversation toward the impending visit while feigning outward calm. Emily beamed, clenching a small stuffed bear in her free hand. "Well, what if we ask her to do a fun adventure, like hiking or rafting?" "Yeah," Sarah chimed in, bouncing on her toes. "Maybe we can teach her how to build a campfire." Daniel chuckled, feeling a flicker of light in their joy. "Maybe. Just remember, she's new to this, so we'll take it slow." Time seemed to stretch endlessly until the moment of reckoning arrived. As they stood on the porch of the cabin, Daniel felt the tightrope of emotions, fear, hope, and the prospect of renewed connection, standing on the precipice of uncertainty. The girls waited eagerly, their excitement dancing in the air, while his heart hammered in his chest. Vanessa arrived shortly thereafter, her face a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Daniel's heart dropped at the sight of her. Time had etched its fingerprints on her. She looked worn yet resolute, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by lessons learned the hard way. Standing before her, Daniel felt that familiar rush of conflicting emotions, a cocktail of trust built cautiously against the treachery that had once defined their relationship. "Hi, I'm here," she said tentatively, looking at the girls, her voice shaking slightly. "Mom!" Emily called out, rushing towards her, while Sarah trailed behind with a nervous energy. The moment was uncertain. Would they embrace this tantalizing opportunity to reconnect? Or would they recoil with fear, recalling the memories that had torn their family apart? To Daniel's surprise, they both approached Vanessa slowly, faces illuminated with cautious optimism. Their hearts were still fresh, unbroken by years of trust eroded. As they enveloped her in a hesitant hug, Daniel felt his breath hitch. What would come next? "Hey, sweethearts," Vanessa murmured, kneeling to their eye level. "I've missed you so much. I've been thinking of you every day." Daniel felt conflicting emotions roiling within him. Could she truly mean it? He took a step forward, ready to intervene if necessary, but the scene held promise. Their reunion felt powerful, laced with opportunity. Still, he couldn't ignore the tension that lingered beneath the surface. After the initial greetings, Vanessa stood up, her eyes shifting to Daniel. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" He hesitated, feeling torn. "About what?" "Just a moment? Please." The sincerity in her voice tugged at something deep within him, and despite his instincts warning against it, he nodded curtly. The two drifted away from the girls, taking a few steps into the woods behind the cabin, the towering pines surrounding them, creating an almost sacred space filled with uncertainty. "Daniel," she began, her voice fragile, yet firm. "I know I've hurt you and the girls, and I'm not here to make excuses. I just want to tell you that I've changed. I've worked so hard to understand my behavior during that time." "Have you really?" Daniel fired back, frustration mounting. "You're not just here because you feel guilty, are you? You've put our daughters in a position of confusion. They deserve clarity and stability." "I realize that," she replied, her gaze dropping to the forest floor. "But they also deserve a chance to know why I made those choices. I want them to understand me, not as a monster, but as their mother, flaws and all. I want to show them that I am here because I truly want to be a part of their lives again." Caught between the remnants of their past and this new reality, Daniel felt the profound weight of choice settling on his shoulders. He recognized that they had reached a pivotal point. Either they could work through the layers of pain together, or he could keep the door firmly closed. "Okay," he decided finally, though his heart raced in trepidation. "You can spend time with them today, but I'm going to remain close. If you step out of line, it's over. You'll lose your chance once again, and I won't let you hurt them." "Thank you," Vanessa breathed, her eyes glistening. "I promise I won't let you down this time." With that, they returned to the girls, who were enthusiastically creating a makeshift picnic in the grassy area by the cabin. As he watched the distance between Vanessa and their daughters shorten, Daniel felt the pull of innocence and hope intertwine, a desire to believe in the new beginning blooming around him. Under the canopy of trees, laughter began to fill the space as they shared stories, Emily and Sarah energetically recounting memories of their adventures with Daniel, filling the gaps between the lines of their past with excitement. Vanessa joined in gradually, her apprehension seemingly alleviated by their enthusiasm, drawing them in with a recovery of familial joy. As the day progressed, Daniel observed them carefully, a watchful guardian gauging every exchange. The more he watched, the more an unfamiliar sense of acceptance crystallized within him. Vanessa's demeanor felt genuinely transformed. She listened intently, engaged with each comment, and held her daughters as if they were fragile treasures. "Can we roast marshmallows tonight?" Sarah chirped, excitement bubbling in her tone. "Absolutely," Vanessa responded, a smile spreading across her face. As laughter erupted around them, Daniel felt the movement shift. The air began to morph, allowing a possibility for healing to settle over them like a warm quilt. Maybe she would be a different person this time, one who wouldn't teeter dangerously close to the edge again. As the sun began its descent, casting golden hues through the trees, the atmosphere thickened with golden light, a radiant energy full of promise, connection, and renewal. Daniel felt a cautious wave wash over him, brimming with hope and skepticism as they worked together to gather supplies for their evening picnic. Fear loomed at the edges of his consciousness, whispering reminders of past deceptions. Still, he saw his daughters embrace this opportunity. They navigated the waters of their reunion with the purity only children could possess. He wanted to believe in this chance for connection, but doubt nagged. As they prepared the fire with the stars beginning to twinkle above, Daniel made the conscious decision to stay rooted in the present while maintaining his protective instincts. He longed for their growth, for them to blossom into young women who would learn to navigate the complexities of relationships with resolve. With the fire crackling and as shadows danced in the flickering light, the night unfolded peacefully. They roasted marshmallows, telling stories and sharing laughter surrounding them, slowly weaving stronger threads between their lives. Flashes of laughter echoed into the night, while Vanessa engaged positively, drawing confidence from their delighted reactions. As the night grew darker, they sat huddled around the warmth of the fire. Emily raised her s'more triumphantly, declaring, "This is the best night ever." Daniel chuckled but felt the truth of those words linger in the air. Maybe, just maybe, they could forge a new sense of family from the wreckage left by past mistakes. The hope felt powerful, emblematic of renewal and growth. In that quiet connection under starlit skies, Daniel stepped forward into the possibility of what lay ahead. The path remained uncertain, but he was committed to nurturing his daughter's happiness, while ensuring that every choice from here fortified their bond. The evening's warmth wrapped around them like a tender promise, whispering endless possibilities. Whatever twists lay ahead, Daniel felt an essential truth crystallize. They were moving forward, navigating this new journey with hearts wide open, ready to reclaim their lives together, one step at a time. As the night deepened, Daniel sat under the blanket of stars, enveloped by the warmth of the fire and the laughter of his daughters, each moment stitching together a tapestry of new memories. He watched with a mix of pride and anxiety as Vanessa engaged seamlessly, embracing the role of mother with gentle encouragement and playful enthusiasm. "Hey, Mom, want to help me with this s'more?" asked Emily, her eyes alight with laughter, as she handed over a marshmallow speared on a stick. "Absolutely," Vanessa responded, her smile bright, mirroring the joy radiating from the girls. Daniel felt conflicted emotions stir within him. Beneath the warmth, protective instincts clawed at his heart, whispering reminders of the betrayal that had once fractured their family. "Just be careful with that stick, all right?" he interjected, his paternal instincts refusing to wane. He watched as Vanessa carefully instructed Emily on the art of perfectly toasting a marshmallow, finding a balance between hesitation and trust in her newfound approach. The air was heavy with the sweet smell of melting chocolate, graham crackers, and golden marshmallows as laughter floated skyward, intertwining with the soft sounds of nature surrounding them. Daniel felt the tightness in his chest loosen slightly. Perhaps this reunion was more than just an attempt at mending what was broken. Perhaps it could lead toward a real transformation, one rooted in the lessons learned from the past. When the girls turned away to chase fireflies, Daniel pulled Vanessa aside, heart thumping from the effort of broaching this delicate line of intimacy once more. "You seem different tonight," he remarked cautiously, assessing her demeanor. "Thank you," she replied, sincerity washing over her features. "I am different. I've been through so much in the past years. Therapy, reflection, and a lot of work on myself. I just want the girls to see that and have the chance to know their mother. I don't want to hurt them again," he stated firmly, the underlying fear reflecting in his tone. "You've got to understand what's at stake here. It's not just about your feelings. It's about their emotional safety." "I promise I'll do everything in my power to earn their trust again," she affirmed, meeting his gaze without wavering. "I won't let you or them down this time. It's not just about being here. I want to build a relationship, one that's based on honesty and respect." He studied her closely. There was a sincerity in her eyes, one that bore the weight of genuine remorse. Yet caution loomed in the back of his mind. Could she really transform her behavior? It seemed too soon, too fragile for him to hope, without fear of disappointment. "Just remember any misstep, and I won't hesitate to protect them. I won't let you backslide," he cautioned. "I know," Vanessa replied, her voice steady. "But I truly want this. I want to be part of their lives, as their mother, a nurturing figure who has learned the value of connection." As the girls returned with glowing jars filled with fireflies, their laughter resonated around them. Daniel felt a warmth wash over him. These happy moments that once felt unattainable were beginning to shape their new reality. Perhaps this journey forward would not be as solitary as he had feared. As the evening wore on, they settled around the glowing embers. The soft crackling of the fire held an energy that felt alive with possibility. Each twinkle of the stars above mingled with the warmth emanating from their budding connection. Emily turned to Vanessa, her voice timid yet excited. "Can we do this again tomorrow? We can hike to the waterfall." "Absolutely," Vanessa replied without hesitation, her enthusiasm mirrored in Sarah's face. They began to discuss their plans for the next day, crafting a vision filled with adventure and newfound connections. As the fire began to die down, Daniel pulled the girls closer, ensuring they stayed warm against the chilling mountain night. With the soft rustle of leaves surrounding them, he observed how Vanessa engaged them fully, responding to their curious questions and sparking conversations filled with delight. It marked a new phase, a perspective shift where hope began to flourish, albeit cautiously. In that singular moment, the four of them huddled close, Daniel recognized that the fragility of their reunion was matched only by the potential for healing. The next morning dawned bright and invigorating. Daniel awoke early, embracing the crispness of the mountain air. The smell of pine wafted through the open window as he planned breakfast, eager to provide a solid start for their exploration. By the time the girls stirred, bustling with excitement, he crafted a hearty spread, pancakes with fresh fruits, scrambled eggs, and steaming cups of hot cocoa. They convened at the table, giggling and animatedly discussing the day's itinerary with a fervor that filled Daniel's heart with warmth. "Let's see the waterfall. We can take the trail we saw on the map," Emily exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. "I can't wait to feel the mist on my face," added Sarah, bouncing slightly in her seat. Vanessa's eyes sparkled with delight. "That sounds amazing." "Let's pack a picnic and make it a special day." Daniel felt an unfamiliar sense of unity emerge. This day wasn't just about recreation, it was about reconstruction. It was as if they were furrowing their fertile ground, laying roots for what could become a strong, vibrant family. After breakfast, they donned their hiking boots and packed their bags, snacks, water bottles, a camera, and an old blanket that Daniel had pulled from the cabin. The sun beamed down, casting warmth over the landscape as they set off, laughter echoing behind them like a merry tune. The trail unfolded before them, alive with the sounds of life, nature welcoming their footsteps. As they walked, they spotted colorful wildflowers and observed curious squirrels scurrying across the path. Daniel couldn't help but appreciate the moments of genuine joy threading through their family dynamic. Halfway to the waterfall, they found a clearing where the chatter slowed, replaced by the tranquil sounds of nature. They took a break, sitting on the blanket as the girls munched on snacks. Vanessa engaged them in discussions about their dreams and aspirations, weaving concerns with lightheartedness and steering clear of the past. "Mom, I want to be an astronaut," Emily declared, her eyes wide with ambition. "I think I'd want to explore the ocean, like a marine biologist," Sarah chimed in, delighted by the idea. "Yes, both of those sound exciting. You can make a real difference in the world," Vanessa encouraged, her eyes filled with pride. Daniel watched closely, his heart fluttering at how effortlessly Vanessa embraced motherhood today, mirroring the very qualities he hoped they could cultivate as a family. Yet the shadows of doubt still flitted around the edges of his consciousness. As they continued on their adventure, they soon reached the roar of the waterfall, cascading dramatically over rocks and pooling into a beautiful basin below. Daniel gazed in awe alongside the girls, their faces alight with wonder. The sight was breathtaking. Water sparkled under the sun with a brilliance that filled the air with a sense of magic. "Let's get closer," Emily urged, bolting ahead. Daniel tightened his grip on the picnic supplies, attempting to keep pace. As they neared the water's edge, a rush of mist enveloped them, the cool droplets refreshing against their skin. Laughter erupted as they splashed one another, a scene filled with joy and buoyed by freedom. In the moment, Daniel felt a swell of gratitude for the newfound connection blooming between them. It was as if this memory would solidify their journey forward, etch it deeply into the fabric of their lives. "Look, Mom," Sarah squealed, pointing toward the rainbow arcing across the waterfall's spray. "It's so pretty." "Just like you girls," Vanessa remarked warmly, extending her arms toward them. The embrace was instant, and Daniel felt his heart expand, a connection forming anew. For Daniel, the weight of worry began to ease. He allowed himself the freedom to hope, to imagine a reality where their family could thrive in unity, solidified by the lessons learned from hardship. As they basked in the moment, Daniel understood that healing wouldn't happen overnight. It required patience and effort. But today, surrounded by laughter, love, and the power of second chances under the brilliant sun, he felt reinforced in the belief that They were ready to chart a new course together. With the echoes of joy cascading around them, he closed his eyes, savoring the moment. Together, they had begun to move beyond what was broken, leaning towards the promise of tomorrow, fueled by the unbreakable spirit of family and the bonds they continued to strengthen. As the day unfolded, beneath the intoxicating spray of the waterfall, Daniel felt hope awaken within him, powerful and resolute. Each splash of cool water felt like a baptism, washing away remnants of the past and paving the way for a fresh start. He and the girls reveled in each other's company, laughter echoing melodiously over the rushing water. "Let's take a photo," Vanessa suggested, her eyes twinkling with enthusiasm. In an instant, all three girls gathered around her, delighted at the prospect of capturing this joyous moment. Daniel watched as Vanessa pulled out her phone, instructing Emily and Sarah to strike silly poses, their giggles a beautiful score to the melodramatic clicks of the camera. "Cheese," they shouted in unison, their faces alight with joy. As the camera captured them in that fleeting second of happiness, Daniel felt a sense of calm wash over him. Perhaps for today at least, they could embrace this, allow this imperfect yet hopeful family moment to take shape. Once the adrenaline of the waterfall wore off, they spread the blanket on a patch of grass near the water's edge and settled down for their picnic. The spread was simple, yet it felt extravagant in the context of their newfound connection. With sandwiches, fruit, and homemade cookies in hand, they shared stories, hopes for the future, and laughter that echoed like music across the glistening landscape. "Do you like being back with us, Mom?" Sarah asked innocently, her eyes wide and questioning. Vanessa paused, the weight of her response hanging heavily in the air. "I do, sweetheart. Every day I want to be a better mom for you both. I'm working very hard on myself. I want to make sure I never hurt you two again." Emily's smile dimmed momentarily, replaced by concern. "What if you go away again?" she asked softly. "No, I promise I won't. I know what that feels like, and I don't want to put you through that again," Vanessa assured, leaning forward as if needing the girl's reassurance. "You both mean everything to me." Daniel observed their interaction, feeling the weight of Vanessa's commitments. He sensed genuine intent behind her words, yet an echo of concern followed closely behind. Could she sustain this newfound purpose in the long run? With lunch winding down, Vanessa held her daughter's hands, her own voice filled with a mix of vulnerability and resolve. "Let's make a pact, okay? No more hiding from each other. We'll talk through our feelings, good and bad, and really try to understand one another from now on." The girls nodded, a look of determination spreading across their faces. "We're in," Emily declared, squeezing her mom's hand. Daniel chewed nervously on his sandwich, knowing this was a pivotal moment. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, particularly as they explored rebuilding trust, but it felt worthwhile to give them both space to explore their relationship. As they ate their picnic, the day deepened into a dappled afternoon glow. The sun hung high in the sky, basking them in warmth, and the rhythmic sound of the waterfall created an oasis of tranquility around them. Daniel felt a surge of love for his daughters. They were resilient, demonstrating an inner strength that belied their youth. Wiping crumbs from her cheeks, Sarah suddenly turned serious, a shift in the air. "Can we go swimming now?" she asked eagerly. "Please?" Daniel glanced at the waterfall's inviting basin, where the water shimmered under the sunlight, creating a tempting embrace. It felt like a celebration of their reconnection, but he hesitated, mindful of ensuring everyone's safety. "Okay, but everyone needs to be safe, all right?" he replied, meeting their excited eyes with cautious enthusiasm. "Yes, Dad," they shouted, bouncing with glee. They undoubtedly forged ahead, plunging into the crystalline water, laughter ringing out as they splashed one another gleefully. Daniel stood at the edge, semi-reluctantly joining in as the cold water enveloped him, bringing forth a surge of joyous laughter from himself as well. They were enjoying every moment, free from the weight of the past. Vanessa joined in, her laughter mingling with her daughters as they played, embodying the carefree spirit he had longed to see from her. The sight of them together, joyous and uninhibited, began to heal something deep within him. A reflexive skepticism gradually dissolved amidst the shared warmth of connection. After a while, they took a break, settling on the rocks near the waterfall's edge. They ran their fingers through the cool water, tracing patterns while the world melted away around them. Daniel's heart swelled as he noticed Sarah lean against Vanessa's shoulder, a growing comfort signaling a bridge being built. "Can we make a new tradition out of this, Mom? Coming to the mountains every year?" Emily asked, her excitement palpable. "Absolutely. We can even create our special family ritual. Like, what about making our own s'mores by the fire every time?" Vanessa suggested. The warmth of the moment felt palpable. So many seeds of connection being planted amidst a history threatening to overshadow them. Daniel watched the exchange, feeling this gentle revival of familial bonds transform into something new. The rest of the day meandered along beautifully, filled with adventure and laughter. As they wrapped up at the waterfall and made their way back down the trails, Daniel let his guards down a little more, captivated by their shared joy. His heart softened and the subtle wariness began to ebb. As they arrived back at the cabin that evening, the sky was painted in hues of orange and purple, creating a perfect backdrop for a vibrant sunset. They set about creating a cozy fire, sharing stories from the day that felt electric with possibility. Twilight enveloped them with its enchanting embrace, and Daniel's heart began to settle, recognizing how this day marked the beginning of something special. They sat around the fire, headed into an uncharted territory dictated by their own choices. "Hey, let's make a pact," he suggested, wishing to solidify the day's hopeful vibes. "From now on, we will always share our dreams, thoughts, and feelings with each other, no matter how small. This is our family tradition going forward." "Deal!" the girls cheered, holding out their pinkies to seal the promise, laughter bursting forth as they formed an elaborate pinky-locking ritual. As the stars twinkled overhead, Daniel thought the nighttime sky reflected many of their hopes, shimmering with potential, reminding him that their family's future was being scripted anew, written collectively by all four of them. With the glow of the fire illuminating their faces, he felt connected to them in a way unimaginable only a couple of days ago. This day had woven a new bond, one that transcended what once held them back. As the night unfolded, Daniel could finally breathe deeply, releasing the fears rooted firmly within him. Perhaps tomorrow would hold more uncertainty, more challenges, but they would face them together, building a structure of resilience and love, guided by honesty and vulnerability. Together, they embraced the journey ahead with openness, ready to navigate the path filled with both risk and reward, knowing they would uncover the beauty nestled within the complexities of new beginnings. As the crackling fire cast warm shadows around their cozy gathering, Daniel felt invigorated by the collective energy of his daughters and Vanessa. The lingering atmosphere reflected the promise and potential nestled in their shared space. The walls that had once been fortified so heavily with doubt and lingering anger began to feel permeable, as though they could be gently reshaped by new memories and shared intentions. "Let's tell stories," Emily suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Stories from when we were younger." Sarah clapped her hands full of enthusiasm. "Yes, stories about our adventures." Daniel felt a wave of nostalgia wash over him, prompting him to recall the moments of joy from their past. Camping trips, bike rides, lazy summer afternoons. He settled comfortably into his seat, warmed by the fire, while he began to weave a tale, drawing his daughters into the magical moments of their earlier lives. "Do you remember the time we went camping last summer?" he began, his voice dipping into the cadence of storytelling. "We got caught in that surprise thunderstorm, and we had to huddle together in the tent while the rain poured down. Do you remember how your mom sang silly songs to keep us entertained?" Both girls laughed, shaking their heads at the memory. "That was the funniest. We thought the tent was going to fly away," Emily exclaimed, her laughter infectious. "Yes!" And I was convinced we were going to be washed away, Sarah added, her eyes wide, reenacting their panic from that night. As Daniel recounted more stories, he noticed the warmth in Vanessa's eyes, reflecting the bond emerging again between them, even as they traveled down memory lane. It felt surreal, considering how he had fought tooth and nail to protect his daughters and maintain the distance he believed necessary. But here they were, drifting toward a future painted with flickers of hope. "All right, now it's your turn, Mom," Emily said, nudging Vanessa gently. "You tell us a story." There was a brief pause before Vanessa responded, her voice steady yet reflective. "Okay, how about the time I took you to the zoo when you were little? You were both obsessed with the elephants." She chuckled, her eyes retaining the warmth of a cherished memory. "Emily, you kept saying you wanted to ride one." "And Sarah, you kept wanting to feed them." "Did I really?" Sarah asked, giggling while reliving the moment. "That sounds just like me." Daniel listened intently as Vanessa continued the story. "You were both so fascinated. We spent hours in front of the elephant enclosure. I remember how excited you were when one of them flapped its ears and sprayed water everywhere. You squealed with joy, and for a brief moment, everything felt perfect." The story painted a nostalgic scene, igniting familiarity as they all chimed in, filling in the details Vanessa left out and laughing together. It bridged the gap of time that had once separated them, dissolving previous tensions under the moonlit sky. As the fire crackled, the night deepened, and one story led to another. The laughter grew richer, poured out in waves, and the warmth cocooned them all in an embracing blanket against the chill of the evening. Despite the past, the evening established an environment where vulnerability and empathy intertwined. "Let's share our goals too," Daniel suggested. "What do we want for this year?" The proposal shifted their focus onto the future, a stimulating exercise in setting intentions. "I want to learn how to ride a bike without training wheels," Emily declared with a determined sparkle in her eyes. "I want to join the swim team," Sarah chimed in, bursting with excitement. "I want to learn to dive." Vanessa turned to Daniel, offering a soft smile, as if inviting him to share. He took a deep breath, moving into the realm of his own aspirations. "For me, I want to focus on creating a better balance between work and family," he said, his voice steady. "I want to be more available for you both, to create opportunities to go on more adventures together." The girls exchanged glances, their expressions reflecting newfound understanding. "That's a great goal, Dad," Emily encouraged. "And we will help you with that." The warmth enveloping them felt safe and layered with positivity, each of them bonded by the moment of honest reflection. In this configuration of shared dreams and aspirations, they became a unit moving forward, each step defined by an unwavering purpose to rebuild. As the night gradually wound down, the girls climbed into their sleeping bags, cozy and ready for sleep. Vanessa moved to a nearby log, allowing the firelight to flicker across her features. Daniel joined her, the fading light casting them in shadows, yet revealing a new clarity in their relationship. "Tonight was beautiful," Vanessa said softly, the warmth in her voice enveloping the space between them. "Thank you for allowing me to share that moment with the girls. I've missed events like this so much." He met her gaze, confidence harboring uncertainty. "We both have a long way to go, Vanessa, but I appreciate your effort tonight." The girls need to see you as a consistent part of their lives. Only time will tell how that plays out. "Yeah," she replied, nodding. "I know it will take time. I'm committed to this. I can't go back to my old ways, not again. I want to build a real, loving relationship with them and with you." With the flirting distances and threads of past connections untangling before them, Daniel sensed a compelling determination in her words. He felt torn, but somewhere in that tonal quality of sincerity, a tiny flicker of hope emerged. "Just remember that trust is built through consistency," he cautioned. "It won't happen overnight. I'll keep my eyes open." "I understand completely. And of course, I respect whatever boundaries you need to establish," she said. "I want to rebuild this in a healthy way, and it won't happen without understanding, patience, and connection." As they spoke, they found a rhythm together, a dialogue that allowed for honesty without judgment. The talk meandered naturally from fears to hopes, creating a bridge across the chasms that had once threatened to consume them. When the moon rose high in the night sky, casting silvery light across the landscape, they sat in the warmth of the dying fire. Daniel, enveloped in the magic of the moment, mused silently about the complexities of the future, feeling challenged yet hopeful. He didn't know what lay ahead, but for the first time, the thought of facing those uncertainties felt less daunting and more hopeful. The night faded and surrendered to soft slumber, cocooning each of them beneath a blanket of stars, reflective of endless possibilities, where learning and love surged, where fear could slip away as they collectively navigated toward healing. With inner resolve, Daniel embraced the promise of tomorrow, ready to face the unpredictable path ahead, surrounded by his family, no longer in the shadows of their past, but stepping boldly into the light of their shared future. Together, he believed they could stitch together the strong fabric of their new family, piece by piece, moment by moment, with each leap forward, strengthening their connection.